Apologies for that technical issues that we had. Tonight on the show, we'll be and what it means for the country and what it means for governors similar Efubara and even the FCT minister Nyesom Wike, who he said he doesn't have a dog in the fight. And even President Tinubu, who was the person that for that 6 months time, actually came out and pronounced that state of emergency that we are going to be talking about today. Let's go for a short break, and immediately after this break, we introduce our guest and we'll get straight into the conversation. Welcome back. So a little bit of background. On the 18th of March this year, we saw in that broadcast around 8 p.m., President Bola Ahmed Tinubu come out and declare a state of emergency in Rivers State. His reasons were that he had information that it was supposedly going to be turmoil in the state, and he had to stand in, and he read some sections of the Constitution that actually gives him the right to do that. But there's been a lot of conversation by constitutional lawyers as to does he really have that right to declare a state of emergency in the state. But let's go look at that broadcast before. Okay, before we do that, I'd like to introduce our guest tonight. Joining me, we have Mr. Randy Peters, who is a social and political commentator and somebody who's really doing a lot of work as to regards speaking out for what he believes. Welcome.
Thank you very much. A pleasure being here.
We had to hijack you. Good to have you in Abuja again.
Thank you.
You like Abuja more than Lagos?
I mean, it's everybody's land in Abuja.
We'll talk about that. I also have Ambassador Honorable Mina Hostful, sorry, who is SA to the Executive Chairman of AMAC. And one time chairmanship candidates for AMAC. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And also she's from River State.
Oh,
so she's
great.
To the issue. All right, so let's see that broadcast that the president did. I just picked some bits just to remind us before we get straight to the conversation. Okay, apologies. We'll try to bring that as we proceed with the show. And we had some technical issues, but let's get straight to the conversation. Rivers politics, aftermath of River State emergency rule. So I'll start with you, Ambassador Mina. How do you feel as somebody who's from River State today? Your governor is back. We didn't see him come out to address the press or address the supporters. A lot of persons went to welcome him. But how do you feel that your governor is finally back?
In the first place, how do I feel about the emergency rule? I think that should be the first question. Because we asked me how I feel about his reinstatement, I am actually biased. And I kind of have a mixed feeling. First of all, the declaration of a state of emergency in my state was uncalled for. I am totally against it. It was uncalled for. It was unconstitutional and did not follow due process. River State, that it was peaceful, there was no need for that. It was a political tussle and we all knew where it was coming from. So it's something that would have been managed by, the high-ranking government, the president, brokering peace and making sure that they abide to it. So going all the way to declare a state of emergency was totally wrong. It was more like a slap to the face of the people of River State and also to the government of River State. Now, that aside, okay, 6 months has gone down and he has been reinstated, fine. But again, how is he supposed to feel and how do we feel as a people of River State? We feel insulted. We feel slighted. We feel like our voices have been trampled on. Our voices have been kind of shut up, to say, okay? So are we happy that he's back? Well, yes, he's our governor. He's actually our beloved governor. He's loved by the people of River State because for his first and second year in government, he has proven that he's a peaceful man, he's a gentleman, he's a man of the people, basically. He has done works to prove that. He has been respectful to the institution, basically, of governance in River State. So we felt bad, we feel insulted, but he's back now, so we're happy there's peace basically in River State, that's all. If not, it's okay.
All right, so Randy, I'll bring you in. As somebody who follows electoral reforms, and this has to do with our democracy. I just, on top of my head, yesterday, I saw flyers, former President Goodluck Jonathan, in Ghana, why democracy dies and all of that. I like that you speak to Governor Fubara being restored.
I think what we witness is a travesty, and the fact that this has been allowed to stand for 6 months sets a dangerous precedent as to what we call democracy. This is a mockery of democracy. If we are in a dictatorship, we should stay full-blown dictatorship. If we want to do a democracy, then we must protect our institutions. Because to begin with, what exactly was the premise for the suspension between the governor and the president? Who should be suspended? If there was crisis, let us imagine that there was insecurity. Who controls the security apparatus in the country? The governor is basically just the chief executive of the state. Every security apparatus is under the control of the government. So if there is insecurity in Rivers State, President Tinubu should be suspended or impeached for failure to protect the lives of the citizens.
Exactly.
He controls all arms of the security agencies. Within the first 7 months of President Tinubu's government, according to International Center for Investigative Reporting, more than 5,000 persons were killed in Nigeria. He just proceeded on a vacation and came back. Within the first 2 days, more than 100 people were killed, about 68 in one state in Borno. Why is there no state of emergency in the state of Borno or any other state in the north? So it is a political tussle, and instead of raining on the former governor who is seated on your cabinet, you decided to truncate the entire process. And if you will do it with due process, why did the National Assembly not ratify with a 2/3 majority that is constitutionally guaranteed, rather than using a voice vote to declare something like a state of emergency? During the state of emergency declared by President Jonathan in Borno, in the heat of Boko Haram insurgency, he left every democratically elected person in the state and just gave room for the army to go in and fight the insurgency. What we are seeing is a desecration of what we call democracy. And now, unfortunately, tragically, the governor is back. Within how many days? 2026 is a political year because 2027 is general election. The people of Rivers State have been shortchanged. So what we must do is to go back to the root cause of this problem. A former governor felt too powerful that he brought a governor and would decide to dictate the terms of the governance of that state. If you do not fix that problem and the people elect their governors themselves, we are just hearing the beginning of this issue.
Right, so, so I'd like to speak to some of the issues now. I'll stay with you, Mr. Randy, because you mentioned something. One of the things that we saw during that declaration on the 18th of March was that the president was not focused on Fubara. There were two people primarily involved in the battle, right? We had the House of Representatives led by Martin Amuwale, who has started today, and they've not done that for a long time. Right? And, you know, like you said, the background to all of this. But the president looked at the issues and said, okay, the two parties involved, Martin Amuwale, you are suspended, the House suspended, and the governor too. So was he not fair in, you know, looking at the issues, the two parties involved? You can want to talk about the FCT minister being involved, but people will say he was not in the state, he's in the FCT. Politically, he doesn't have a dog in the fight. I like that you respond.
Ubon, the president of Nigeria has no constitutional right to suspend another democratically elected governor. No part of the constitution gives.
Constitutional lawyers argue that. There are
No
those
part-
who argue in favor.
There is
Talk
no.
about Nigerian
We are talking
judiciary
about
system
Nigerian
now.
constitution. If lawyers can come and speak from both sides of the mouth, we have a
course.
Supreme Court in Nigeria that gave somebody who came fourth or third in a state and made him governor. So if you are talking about the judiciary, I want to beg to take
To
some
differ
excuse,
from
because
that, yes.
I mean, I take it with a pinch of salt. Anybody can become, you know, whatever, take political stance.
Yes.
If the president knew that what he did was constitutional, the question is simple. Why did you not allow and ensure the National Assembly follows due process in ratifying it?
yes.
What document did President Tinubu use to swear in Ibogete Ibas, the so-called sole administrator? What document did they use? And remember that it is the same APC federal government that is talking about local government autonomy, claiming as though they want to empower the local government. But what was part of the so-called peace deal between the governors? That the incumbent governor, the duly elected governor, will have no stake. And today, the sham local government elections took place in Rivers State
Without a democratically elected governor.
overseeing that process. And this is what we are seated to discuss. If it were President Tinubu when he was governor of Lagos
He
State,
would not take it.
He would have fought it. In fact, when President
Even the minister
Obasanjo
would
tried
not, the
to
current FCT minister would not have tolerated
it, if he had tried to withhold, when President Obasanjo tried to withhold local government funds to President Tinubu, what did he do? He resisted and went to court. If we are in a democracy, it is a government that is followed by the rule of law. Let President Tinubu declare state of emergency in any northern state, where they just recently held a so-called peace deal with bandits on the 15th in Katsina, and by 16th morning, more than 40 people were kidnapped in Zamfara State. Is that not insecurity?
Right.
Let us stop deceiving ourselves.
Yeah, so I'd like to talk to you now, Mina, as somebody who's from Rivers. People have said, let's bury the past and just move on to the future. There could be issues here and there, but I like that you speak about the future, because even today, some supporters of similar Fubara have questioned the fact that whatever peace deal, whatever negotiations were done, that he didn't carry them along. And they feel that maybe the governor, after fighting for him or whatever you fighting in
Did
quotes,
they
that
defect
were
or
not
they did not defect? And what did the Constitution
carried
say
him
about
along.
defection?
I like you speak to that.
So what are we talking about? Look, these people already had lost their positions when they defected to the opposition party. Rivers State is PDP. They defected to APC. Look, even the FCT minister, when he was governor, he even started, if you can remember, this whole, if you defect to another party,
lose your seat.
yes, you lose your seat. He was the one who started it. And now the table has turned. He's fighting against it. Now, this precedence that he has said, let me even shock you. My local government chairman has already served his complete 2 terms as local government chairman and had no reason whatsoever for him to bring him back. But he's currently the person that FCT Minister Wike made the local government chairman of my state, somebody who has already served 2 terms as local government chairman. So you can imagine the precedence that he's setting again. So another time, another local government chairman or election will take place, and the local government chairman will come and will want to do 8 years.
Yeah. So I like to that you speak to the fact that whatever negotiation was done, were people who were supporting...
What negotiation? Martin Samawole and his team had no reason to be there.
So who supported Fubara? Are they carried along in this peace process that metamorphosed to us having what we saw today, the return to democratic...
Now, are we going to start listing out those who supported Governor Fubara and those who are supporting Wike? You know, we cannot start listing out all of that. We can't. Basically, the bottom line is the House of Assembly, which was divided. The fraction that was led by Martin Samawole, and they have already lost their seat and had no reason. Constitutionally, ordinarily, the INEC should have had a by-election to replace the seats. But we know the power that played in it. But what we're saying basically is that in totality, the setting was wrong from the onset. And that is what the president should have done. Like, look, you need to have a by-election. What did the Constitution say? This is how it's supposed to be. These people have already defected to APC. It's as simple as ABC. They defected. There are videos to show. There were evidence everywhere. It was clear that they defected.
You know.
So why are we agreeing? You know why I actually got tired of tweeting and posting about this whole thing, because in the end we just know that you see this administration, this 10th assembly, they have just come to tell us, to call us fools in our faces.
Let's be mindful.
Okay, actually, yes, they've actually come to make us feel like we actually do not know our right from our left, like we are illiterate. They can just trample on the people of this country and do whatever they want to do, and they decide to leave. And if we're not careful, and probably if the president were to be younger, he will. What is happening in Cameroon and Zimbabwe is what would have happened in Nigeria, where a president, I'm telling you, where a president will want to do 3rd term, do 4th term, do 5th term, do 6th term.
Those are still in the realms of assumption. But let me come to you. You wanted to follow
but this
on
is
that.
how it starts.
I just wanted to say, look, without taking into, putting so much attention on what exactly a dangerous precedent has been set in Rivers State and with this action. And the question would naturally be, what exactly is peace? With whatever we are calling a peace deal. Is it a piece of the graveyard? Because any peace where there is no justice is a peace cannot be sustained. You started from your opening remarks that people were to welcome the governor, but he wasn't there. He has not even officially taken over. There is no report confirming that he has entered into the government house. And then again, we must go back to the all-important question. What exactly is the grounds of the former governor and current minister against the incumbent governor? What is the issue? We hope that this is not a problem of 2 persons struggling, or it is about the commonwealth of the Rivers people appropriating money that does not belong to you, that belongs to the state, and 1 person or 2 persons trying to control the entire system. And this is why I tell you that we must go back to the root cause of this matter, because the only way to see and settle this is to fix the system. You know, part of the reason why Governor Siminalayi Fubara may have also had problems, because a lot of persons in Rivers State did not find a stake or a reason to come out and fight, and that is why Rivers people allowed this to go on. Why? Because they feel that the governor is a formal appointee of the former governor. He brought him and made him governor. Yes, and therefore, it was a fight. A lot of persons will tell you it is between Godfather and Godson. Some people will use the word that agreement is agreement, so you should keep to your part of the bargain. What is that agreement? The Commonwealth of Rivers State.
Those are in the realms of speculation.
So whatever it is, anybody should come out. The 7 minister always talks about his issues with the governor of Rivers, and he has been asked a lot of times on national TV, what is the problem between yourself and the sitting governor? So this is where I'm going to. If we do not fix the electoral process in such a way that the people come out and give a direct mandate to their leaders, where they know, and whoever comes there knows that I was not a stooge or a protege of a godfather, you will continue to have these issues. Because on a normal day, the people who voted for their leader should be out on the street from day one of this declaration to ensure that nobody truncates a democratically elected government. But since it is what it is, that is why we are where we are.
All right, so there are still a lot of questions I want to ask you. Questions about the president and his rule and his powers to actually declare state of emergency. But let's go for our first break. Just stay with us, and when we're back, a lot of questions. You're still watching Big Talk on Global Television. Let's go for a short break, and when we're back, we have Randy Peters, who is a social and political activist, and we also have Mina Hosfor, who is an SA to the chairman of AMAC, who are in the house. Amina is also from Rivers State. As we talk about Rivers politics, the aftermath of the Rivers emergency rule, as we try to highlight all of these issues. Let's go for this break. All right, so tonight we are looking at the happenings in Rivers State. Yesterday, we saw President Bola Ahmed Tinubu come out again and make a declaration, although he didn't address the press this time, reading or actually telling us his speech. But we saw the State House actually put out that declaration that the state of emergency rule in Rivers State is done with. And Governor Similaye Fubara can get back to work. Do your handover, and your tenure is over. 6 months tenure. And people say, what a fortunate man in a democracy to actually be appointed, to come lead Rivers State. A lot of conversations about that. Before we get back to the studio, I like that you just see what happened and when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu suspended the governor of Rivers State on 18th of March 2025.
In these circumstances, having soberly reflected on and evaluated the political situation in Rivers State, and the governor and deputy governor of Rivers State, having failed to make a request to me as president to issue this proclamation as required by Section 305, Paragraph 5 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, it has become inevitably compelling for me to invoke the provision of the Section 305 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State with effect from today, 18th March, year 2025, and I so do. By this declaration, the governor of Rivers State, Mr. Similaye Fubara, his deputy, Mrs. Ngozi Odu, and all elected members of the House of Assembly State are hereby suspended for an initial period of 6 months. In the meantime, I hereby nominate Vice Admiral Eboket Ibas, retired, as administrator to take charge of the affairs of the state in the interest of the good people of Rivers State.
All right, so the president says the suspension was in the interest of the good people of Rivers State. And before I get back to the studio, it's getting heated already. And I think we had about 3 stories that I wanted to show to you tonight. What's actually happening as we read the stories now. All right, so Ibok bows out, hands over to Fubara, the sole administrator of the Rivers State, where Admiral Ibok Ibas retired today, which is Thursday, handed over power to Governor Similaye Fubara, declaring that law and order has been restored in the state. We take another one, just one more. Rivers Assembly holds first plenary after emergency rule. So the Rivers State House of Assembly has scheduled at 10 a.m., which was today, to begin its post-emergency plenary. We actually saw that plenary actually being held, and we saw, those in the House actually come out with some remarks as to what the governor should do as to submitting names of commissioners. Well, let's get back to the studio now. Well, we have Mr. Randy Peter, who's a social and political commentator, and Ambassador Mina Horsfield, who's also a political Horsfield. I have a friend in the U.S. His name is Horsfield. So that's the confusion. Horsfield, who's actually a political analyst in the studio. All right. So, Ms. Ambassador Mina, you saw President Tinubu recap of things that led to. Maybe he had some security reports. Some people say he has, because truly the polity was really heated up in your state at that time. I like that you just made comments to some of the things you've seen today. Ibok hands over and the sitting, the plenary today. Is that not a step in the right direction? How is that a step in the right direction? It was, the step had been wrong. The direction had been wrong from the onset. So what are the achievements of the administrator? What was he there for, the sole administrator? Peace. What? Restore peace. Was there war in Rivers State? How many people died? Can they tell us? So what was the essence of having a sole administrator under a civilian, in a civilian administration? Just like my brother here said, if we're under a dictatorship rule, we should know that we're under a dictatorship rule and not giving us a sole administrator. We even had, at the local government level, sole administrators as well. So you turned Rivers State out of 36 states of the Federation into a military state. So the people of Rivers State practically had to start living in fear. And actually, that is what it has been under this administration anyway, under President Tinubu's administration. The people have been living in fear. You don't even have the freedom to criticize the government. And that is why, as it is, we do not even have opposition party, unfortunately, in Nigeria anymore. Thanks for the coalition that is coming up. That is what we have been subjected into. Now, let's go back to the matter at hand, which is Rivers State. What are the achievements of the sole administrator for the past 6 months? All they did was slow down governance in my state. All they did was impoverish my people. All they did was share our resources among themselves, which was what this whole thing was about. So is it that the president did not know what was going on in Rivers State, the root cause of it, and how to tackle it without calling state of emergency? Right. So, Mr. Randy, I come to you now. Some people have also praised President Tinubu as to his forthrightness and in handling and settling disputes.
Who are those people?
So you see them. You see them. You see them. You know, there are two sides to this. Right. So I like that you answered that. Was the president quick in intervening, and that actually solved what seemed to have been an emerging problem from Rivers State?
Look, Nigeria, we are in dire straits. Nigeria is in serious crisis. And what we are gleefully talking about here has very serious repercussions for our statehood.
Really?
If our national unity and territorial integrity is being threatened, and then we have persons in government working to undermine these institutions, we are in serious problem. President Tinubu made a declaration and was talking about Section 305 of the Constitution, and he referenced subsection 5. It was important that he began from the fourth section of that same section of the Constitution. He talked about sending the gazette of that declaration first to the National Assembly, where a two-third majority must affirm that declaration. If he was so interested in constitutionality, do you use illegality to cure illegality? Is that what we are supposed to do? Did the Senate vote with a two-third majority to ratify it? What gives him the power to nominate a sole administrator before the National Assembly ratifies a state of emergency? Under a democracy. So you have decided to resort to self-help. That is what the president did. Swearing in a sole administrator before the National Assembly, which is the body that is empowered to carry out oversight and affirm such rulings in a democracy. And then again, if we want to talk about unrest, she asked the question, how many people died in Rivers State? When will President Tinubu be suspended or removed and a state of emergency declared in Nigeria, where in Katsina State, a wanted terrorist that is on number 9 of the DSS most wanted terrorist list sat down in public in a so-called Katsina State bandit peace meeting and publicly was declaring, according to the spokespersons for the bandits, that this insecurity, banditry and kidnapping will not stop for as long as there is injustice against them in a country that has a commander-in-chief. And the same Tinubu under Jonathan said when on the issues of security, if President Jonathan is able to protect people, he should resign or he should leave office. So when will President Tinubu resign from office? So we can continue this political talk. The people who are the real victims are Nigerians. Rivers State people have lost 6 months of human capital development, of their infrastructural development. They will have to play catch up. Their resources have been plundered and plunged day by day.
Well, those allegations as to the fact that resources are being plundered.
Let them have their own audit. Let it be.
What and they exactly? Should be transparent about it, and let's
so that there is transparency and accountability. That is what governance should be about.
Right. So I like that we look at going forward.
Yeah.
What are you seeing for Rivers? Are you going to see a Rivers where the governor will have a good relationship with the president and Rivers will be prosperous? What are you seeing for your state? With the coming back of his name, Governor Similaye Fubara?
Look. Like I said earlier, the man is just a peaceful man. That's the truth. He's just a gentleman, and he's someone who is actually looking out for the safety of his people. Look, I must use this opportunity to recommend, to give accolades to my governor, Governor Similaye Fubara. He averted a lot of things. If we had said that state of emergency would not hold, it would not hold and nothing will happen. But he's a very peaceful man. He averted a lot of bloodshed because he did not want the youths of Rivers State to be caught in between. He did not want anybody's life to be lost in that process. Imagine the time when Governor Wike came to my maternal community, Abalama. He had to tear gas women, innocent, unarmed women, old women, young women, the ones that were even carrying babies. He tear gassed them just to make his way through into a community that you insulted and they have said you are not welcome. When you don't have respect for the people, this is what happens from the beginning of this assembly is wrong.
Yeah, but looking forward, looking into the future, what are you expecting?
I don't know what relationship people will wonder. Look, they've done what they want to do to the governor. He's back, okay, and he's back for a reason. I'm sure left for only my governor, he would have resigned. And a lot of us would have actually preferred that he resigned. But again, of what good is it? He has just how many months to go? He has already lost 6 months. And I don't know what that peace accord was about, but, his relationship right now with the president and all is going to be out of, You know what they say, half or do. You understand, right? That is what it is. It's going to be half or do. They've boxed him basically in a position where he's just going to be a yes sir person to his predecessor and the president.
All right, so
that is what, no, I'm not true. That is what they've done to him. So what do you expect him to do at this point? He has no control of the local government. He has no control of the
State House of
assembly. So
Assembly.
what is he doing there? It's to collect salary and go now.
all right, so Mr. Randy, I'd like to come to you now. But people have talked about the fact that Similar Efubara, in whatever circumstances, maybe he understood what he went in for and what he agreed to, whatever terms and, like you mentioned, maybe agreements was had. But that's in one light. I also like that you talk about the fact that going into the future, I've said some political settlements is better because of the people of Rivers State. They are the ones that really matter the most. Do you see that this settlement will be enduring? Are you seeing that it will last till the end of its tenure?
Look, the end of the Rivers State political issue has not been seen or has not been heard. As I said, it is left to be seen what exactly is the peace that has been sustained. Because if a governor is coming back probably as a subjugated entity where your loyalty is no longer to the people but a certain power at the federal level that wants to control the state. The question is, if truly there was unrest and imminent threat, what did the sole administrator do to restore peace? What did he do within the 6 months? So it is possible that the issue stemmed because a former governor and decided to superimpose on the incumbent governor. And rather than rain on the honorable minister, because look, without the backing of the federal government or the former governor, there is not peace will be sustained in Rivers State.
Yeah, but my question is, are you seeing this lasting?
How?
And what are you advising? Maybe the governor is even listening to us now.
What I'm advising is that Nigerians must wake up and liberate ourselves from the hands of political capture, oppressors.
Yeah.
It is about the Rivers State people. My business is not with the former governor of the sitting governor. These are politicians who have, benefited a lot from the Commonwealth of Nigeria. They have nothing to lose. You have been governor for 8 years. You are a current minister. You, the Siminala, you are also governor. The problem is, where exactly does this leave the Rivers State people? And this is why the entire Nigeria, because what is going on in Rivers is a context of what will play out in the general nation as we approach 2027, where there will be a direct attempt to capture institutions of states and subjugate democratic norms and values. Nigerians must wake up and resist it. How does this begin? Power must return to the people. The people of Rivers State must take their destinies in their own hands and know that it is about us. The local government chairmen that were there, you saw them during their swearing in, brandishing caps with the symbols of a certain political figure. So what does that tell you? That these were people who came in with a neutral mind to serve their people, or they were handpicked to come and do the bidding of a certain politician?
Right. Talking about handpicking, I'll come to you now as we try to round of the program. A few concluding thoughts. What do you talk about what some people call godfatherism as to, because people have mentioned online, we've had people say it, some political commentators say, without Nyesom Wike, who himself has said he's not a part of this whole fight. But let's leave it at that. People have argued that without Nyesom Wike, there will be no similar Efubara. So where do you see Nigerian politics and Rivers politics as to godfatherism, as to some people choosing and picking some political godsons and giving them offices?
Without Governor Odili and President Jonathan, there wouldn't have been a Nyesom Wike as well. The whole world knows his story. He's just... I'll watch my words again. Right. So, I mean, he's not the first person and he will not be the last person. Everybody wants or should have a successor. And it's best you work with your successor for the good of the people. That is why you are there and not for yourself. But we have seen a different politics from what we know politics should be, or what the relationship of predecessor and successor should be. This was about one man trying to still be a third-time governor. So he was practically the de facto, he wanted to be the de facto governor. And then the governor says, no, sir, I am now the governor. He is already a minister of FCC, of which ordinarily should be bigger, and he should have been content
you know,
with that.
in this conversation, I'll come to you, Randy, but let me finish that. You know, in this conversation, we've not really had the governor say, this is my problem, this is the problem, or Nyesom Wike also say, this is the problem. They've not really spoken to the
Okay, wait
issues.
now, I'll go and ask him, Governor, Minister Wike, what exactly is the problem between you? Let him tell us, if he will open his mouth to tell us what exactly
for
the problem is.
Barato, I've
So
not said anything.
if he has absolutely nothing to hide, if it is for the interest of the people, why do they not want to tell us what exactly the problem is? Why doesn't he, the Wike that has promised to fight tooth and nail? He said he put him there with blood and he will remove him there with blood as well. That is what he said. He said it on national TV. You know, he has no respect for the media. He has no respect for the people either. He goes on air at will. He's the only minister, and you know how much that also costs as well. So practically, he's a man who is living in self-glory. Everything has to be
having interaction with media is something we are encouraging in this
everything has to be about him.
He's
the only minister.
He's the only minister. Have interaction with
He's the only minister. Go out there and project the work that you are doing.
And you think he's not doing a good work in the FCC?
But when you go out there and instead of projecting the work,
FCC?
then concentrate on your work and leave the people of Rivers State, leave the treasury of Rivers State, leave government of Rivers State for the government, for the people, and for the government of Rivers State. You know, you cannot be in two places at the same time, for God's sake.
Thank you. I understand these issues can get very emotional, but Randy, now let's conclude the show tonight. I like that you speak to the people of Rivers State as to moving forward, because I'm more concerned about where do we go from here, and I like that you speak to that.
I mean, look, Governor Wike, former Minister Wike, and President Tinubu should know that power is transient. Nobody stays in power forever. If you don't leave power, power will leave you. And if you have opportunity to hold power, do not play God, because God has a way of also humbling his people. Governor Wike was a chief of staff to a former governor at some point. He was a local government chairman. He became a minister for state, and then he became governor. If you continue to say that what is the issues between them, the question will be, what exactly was the offense of the governor that led to an impeachment few months into his tenure?
Yeah.
What exactly? And then you know the persons who were pushing for the impeachment, you know their political loyalty, who it lies with. They have been meeting publicly with the former governor.
Where do we go from
So where we go from here is that Nigerians as a people, if not for INEC and the judiciary, Nigerian people, Rivers State people know how to elect a governor, not a former governor imposing a governor on them. We must go back to fix that institution where the vote of the people and power comes directly from the people, where leaders are accountable to them and not political godfathers. And you should know that as a former governor or a president, there is a lifespan for power. If you don't leave it, it will leave you. Let the rule of the will of the people and the rule of law prevail at all times.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Mina Horsfall, for coming tonight, who is actually a political analyst, and she's a politician herself. I hope that you are a better politician than those you are describing to us.
Of course.
That's actually left to be seen. And we also have Mr. Randy Peters, who's actually a social and political commentator. Thank you so much, Randy, for making our time to join us. Gentleman and lady, thank you so much for joining us. I do appreciate your time on the show. And that's our show for tonight. Like we say, Nigeria is our concern. Nigeria is our country. We must work to make sure that this country gets better for all of us. From all of us tonight, the production crew and everybody behind the cameras assisted us to have a wonderful edition of Big Talk tonight. We say thank you and goodbye. My name is Ubong Uzoro. I'm saying love Nigeria.